Let's talk about hope. You also say, you know, we can get overwhelmed, even with a realistic, optimistic perspective, that you try to hold on to that hope. If you break down hope, I think it's really about believing that there is a path. You know, we can go from A to B. We will get through this. There is that future, that there is an action available that we as individuals, communities, countries can take a first step. We see what that is. And then there's support, that we have people that are with us to help us take that first step.
Well, thank you, Molly. This is actually the part of the interview where I turn the camera back on you, because in a sense, you're the resilience expert, and we're all looking to you to help us as we go through this, how to get through it in the most positive way, and how to bring the world's population with us. As you mentioned, hope is a very important thing. Now, from a science standpoint, hope is not a strategy, but from an emotional and I think community-based standpoint, it's everything. It's about what people must remember. One, we will get through this. It will end. Number two is how we get through it will determine so very, very much who we are at the end of it, how we take care of people. And number three, I think that if there was ever a time when we need to understand how much we need each other, not just our family and friends, but neighbors, people we don't know in our communities, people from around the world. This is really a time when that's important. You know, I do a podcast on a weekly basis that's on our website, and I always try to end it at the end of the podcast with a comment about just being kind to someone. I think this should really illustrate for us how vulnerable we are as humans, and how resiliency is as much about human spirit as it is anything about a fact. It's as much about the willingness to extend oneself to help someone else, knowing full well that reciprocity will occur, and that the days and the hours that you need that help, it'll be there too. So I just want to reemphasize how important I think hope is, and I hope that we have the opportunity to work with people like you as we go forward, because your message, your ideas, your ability to help this conversation and make it a real thing is very, very important too.
Well, thank you. And I think this whole process is top down and bottom up, and there's a time for everything, right? From top down, we need the science-driven strategies and policy, and we need leadership so that we can quickly manage risk and respond to bad stuff that's coming down the pike. We need all of that. And then at the end of the day, I think resilience will always be bottom up, because it's in community, it's person to person, it's that sharing of resources and kindness and relationship. And so it's going to take both. And so thank you for that. You've always had an appreciation of how our work dovetails, and I do as well. So I'm thrilled that you've been here with us today. Any last words? I know you're going to head off to another important conversation to help a lot of people, to keep hope alive for a lot of people. Any last words you'd like to share with us?
I think that the message that we all want to share, need to share, and will benefit most from sharing is, number one, remember, we'll get through this. It's not going to be over next week. It's not going to be over next month, but we will get through it. And number two, just be kind to everyone. You know, I'm speaking as a scientist who deals with numbers and cases and people dying. And yet at the heart of what I should be doing or thinking is all about just being kind. And so I think if there's any lesson I've learned from people like you about resilience, it starts with hope and kindness, and it goes from there. And we're surely going to need that in this particular situation. So I thank you for all you're doing, and what it is that with time, we all want to see that day in the sun with no COVID virus anywhere around. And we've gotten through it.
And perhaps we get to those stages of growth and possibly thriving. That's my hope.